You can get it walking. You can get it talking. You can get it working a plow. Matter of fact, I got it now. A hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer. And the best cold beer is Vic. Victoria Bitter.
It's so hard to have a gay time on your own.
It could be that great chalk and biscuit coating.
So hard to have a gay time on your own.
It could be that smooth toffee ice cream in the centre, or that whole delicious golden gay time taste.
So hard to have a gay time on your own.
What happened, Gandalf? Why didn't you meet us?
Oh, I am sorry, Frodo. I was delayed.
There's never been any. There have been 1,000 terrors of the sea, born of myth and legend. But there's never been anything quite as dangerous as that man right there. Jonathan Reed.
There it is. What's up, Eric? How you going, buddy?
Doing great, Michael. Great to talk to you again. It has been too long.
That was a great friggin' trailer. I watched that before I read it, and I was getting pumped. I was getting hyped for the hype for reading the book. I really liked that. So shout out to whoever did that. The art looked great in it too.
Yeah, that was X-Wing Hanger who wrote the book. He did the trailer.
So it's Jay and X-Wing.
Jay and X-Wing, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Man. Oh, it's great to have you here. As I said to you, I've been trying to kind of move away from just the sort of standard promoing thing and just have a conversation, which I think is better for everyone involved. But you were very gracious to send me a copy of the book so we can actually dive into a little bit of it. I will just start off by saying thoroughly impressed. It was a great book, a really fun read. I am a bit of a sucker for pirates. You can see there's the Long John Silver and Raven. Can't do this mirror thing behind me. They're like my favorite European bande dessinée pirate books by one of my favorite artists. Great series as well. But yeah, you guys did a friggin' amazing job. So shout out, tip of the hat straight away to you guys. Really
thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you because I've been thoroughly impressed with everything I've seen for the Lucent, and I cannot wait because I didn't get to back the first book, so I can't wait for the double books to come in the mail.
Awesome, man.
I can sit down and read them. The art looks incredible, so I can't wait to die. So I really appreciate the compliment. It means a lot.
Maromi points out, oh, and the puffy pirate shirt too. Yes, I do like a puffy shirt. That is true. So I'm just kind of, I guess, pirates in my blood. Actually, when I was a kid, this is like one of those, you know, those memories that like form and they're like cemented. When I was really young, there was a dress up party, end of kindergarten it was. And I went as a pirate.
Nice.
And none of the kids wanted to play with me. And I was just like, why? Why not? And they're like, because you're a pirate and pirates are bad and we don't like you. And I was just so distraught. I was like, what the hell is going on here? So I guess I've had a soft spot for pirates my whole life. There you go. It goes back a long way. Let me just very quickly say hello to people in the chat. Of course, StreamYard is not being cooperative and not updating the chat anymore, so that's always awesome. But I do have you here, most of you. I got Bretsky the Great, Valley Law, Marcus here, Maromi, Casey, Wheezy is looking for someone to motorboat. That's his thing. That's just what he does. There are some wenches. They stop port in is it Jamaica? Yeah, like Port Royal. No, it's it's another place. I can't remember it. You might remember it, but anyway, there's some wenches. There's always wenches in a good, selling the high seas story. There you are. You're in the chat too. Valley Law is here. Great to see Dr. Mars Retro Elixir. Jake says, did he put himself in the thumbnail again? That is not me. Hold on a sec. I've got the actual. You can share the screen here so you guys can see. This does not look like me. Come on. Maybe a little bit. If I grew the hair out. Yeah, all right. I can see it. That's the over there, by the way.
Thank you.
Really, really cool cover. Really like that. Really nice. Also, I do believe I saw Rini in the chat. She has a cover on this as well. So if you are Irene Strakowski fan, here you go. You've got the cover with the young lad there. That's Blythe.
Correct.
The young lad with one. He's got a peg leg. You see how that all goes down. But this is available. I've got the link pinned. If you like what we talk about tonight, you like the sound of the book, go over there and grab it. It's doing very well. How can I've zoomed in here so I can get some big art. I don't know why. There's no actual like pages on the page, but I guess that's that's their thing. But you guys have sold almost 1,300 books.
Yep,
amazing. For 60
doing really well. We're real thrilled, and we thank every single person who's backing us because the story is very close to all of us. There's a lot of feelings in it, and we had a great time putting it together and working together. And we're just thrilled that people are enjoying it and excited about it.
Did you do the design of this as well?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome, man. I really like that. It's a good it's good to have like a visual kind of theme to attach to the story. And this is all in the story. The book looks great, says Rini Draws. Everyone go back it now. Love that, says Casey Anthony. It's really cool. And I mean, I thought we can start just having a conversation because I said the title of stream was a Turbulent Seas of Indie Comics, because you have been in indies for a long time now, and you're a convention man. Yeah, you go to conventions and sell stuff. That's what you do.
Yeah, and not so much these last couple of years because of family and life changes, but my gosh, I probably got 15 years doing 30 some shows a year under my belt. All over the United States.
Is the most impressive stand I've ever seen. It's this enormous thing full of art and everything. It's pretty crazy. It is pretty nuts. So you've seen it all. You've seen it all come and go. If you've been doing that 15 years, you've probably seen a lot of changes over the last decade or so.
Yeah, when I started out, it was honestly quite lucrative because there wasn't a lot of shows. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. And as the idea of it grew, anybody who had a lot of money and they wanted to do a show, suddenly shows kept popping up more and more. Or they would, you'd have a really awesome one-day show. And you'd go there and you'd make like good money, like $5,000, north of $5,000 for one day's work.
Nice.
And then the promoters would be like, well, next year we're going to expand to 2 days, and then 3 days. And so pretty soon you're spending 3 or 4 days somewhere else, and you're making, less than half of that, maybe a third for more time.
Why was that? Because it was all stretched out. It was like
Yeah,
stretched
because they would be
thin.
stretched out. There wasn't the sense of urgency like a really good one-day show would have. And then they started, the celebrities started piling on. A lot of those really big, grand, like the Wizard Cons just became celebrity signing shows. And then more and more people to pay for all these tables, to pay for all these celebrities. Shows get bigger and bigger, and everything gets watered down. And everybody's fighting for whatever's left over. That's kind of the history of Comic-Cons in 3 minutes.
Yeah, celebrities and cosplayers. Until I went to Tampa, I had only ever been to one convention, but it wasn't so much. It was I think it was called a comic convention, but it was more just like people were taking in cool, nerdy stuff to sell. They were bringing their comics. They were bringing in their Star Wars toys. They were bringing in whatever knickknacks they had. And they would make a table and you could just buy. It was like going to the ultimate garage sale. It was just, it was, I had such fun memories of it. But, being in Australia, they were so rare. But yeah, when I went to Tampa, it was almost exclusively, and I hear that Tampa is not a very good convention anyway for comics anyway. But it was just almost exclusively cosplayers and then celebrities.
Yeah, and that's really what I can remember doing Tampa a few years in a row and it being really, really good. And then it just wasn't worth kind of going. And there's all sorts of like Facebook groups and whatnot where everybody who does this for a living shares information. So you kind of get an idea of where a show's going. People will be kind of more forthcoming with how well they did, with what they spent to do it. And you get a good idea like where the lay of the land is. And so like I'd follow certain promoters, I'd try other promotions and go to other states. And you really just try to diversify where you're showing yourself out, try to get as many new audiences as possible. If it hadn't been for the pro wrestling and the anime, I probably would have quit a lot sooner, but I was able to find a niche that I could operate in that not very many people were doing and do it pretty well. And eventually got the attention of some anime voice actors, started doing more anime shows, doing merch for their tables. So that was kind of nice for a little while. And the biggest thing about it is that if you want to do something like this, you have to learn to pivot. You got to learn to change things up and not try to force something that's not working. I had to went through 3 or 4 different styles of art till I found something I was happy with.
Oh yeah.
I was doing like comic book style of like movies, and then I started doing painted movie posters. Did that for a little while, and then like I said before, I fell into the wrestling and anime niche and kind of dominated that for a few years.
So you think because they have their own, that comes like with a ready-made audience that you can just sort of, tap into and find success there?
Yeah, for the most part, because you're going into a new city. Everybody's if there's multiple shows in one city, you want to find the one that's the best well attended, and then just try to be unignorable, and then you'll start to learn the people that are there, learn what they like. And I chased some trends for a while, and that was very soul crushing. Why would I draw fan? What's that?
What trends?
Well, just whatever was popular at the time. Because like in Artist Alley, you'd get a good percentage of people who are there to sell their independent comic books. Then you'd get professional artists who are making fan art of stuff. And then, of course, you'd have your hacks who would be, stealing a JPEG off of a website, putting a splatter filter on it, and calling it their own. Those people came in.
A lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
I mean, those people
I
are
call that like
dozens.
Displate art. It looks like that Displate website where it's just like stylized versions of characters with paint splashes on it and stuff like that.
So you get a lot of that, and then but the professional illustrators are there. They're really doing the best fan art. Whatever was popular at the time, the new movie that came out, like I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I didn't do a lot of Star Wars stuff. But I did Mandalorian and Grogu. and my heart wasn't in it, and I'm like, why am I doing stuff that my heart's not into just to try to make some money? That's not who I want to be. So
I feel that because I always think there's so many easier ways to make money in this world than drawing art, like especially in the comic book realm where, you've been in it for ages now. It is so soul crushingly difficult to monetize to a high degree over a long period of time. You can do it for a little bit. Maybe you're like the hot new thing or whatever at the moment. And then, things sort of taper off. New people come in or whatever. It is so difficult. So unless you have a passion for what you're doing, unless you wake up in the morning like, I really want to be doing this, you start to think like, why don't I just go get a better job that actually pays me a good, fortnightly wage? Because otherwise you gotta be a little bit crazy, I think, to want to do comics. It has to be kind of like a calling, because you're going to be putting in hours that just don't really justify the money. It has to the justification has to be the art for itself. So I agree. I've done that as well, where when I started YouTube, I was like, I'm going to do some fan art for other people and all this sort of stuff, just as kind of, because maybe, some of their popularity will draw people to see what I'm doing. And I was like, man, I was spending way too much time on stuff I did not care about or just wasn't that into. And it is kind of a pit to fall into. Rini says, almost never do fan art, so I barely broke even at art shows. And it's soul crushing just to draw something for trends. Yeah, she would know it well. Right. Jim's got a bogan chat here, says, hail to the chat. Right back at you, Jim. I have zero desire to do fan type art. Yeah. What led you? So you're doing conventions, you're doing art, you're trying things out, you're figuring stuff out. What leads you from that point to being the artist on Daughter's Revenge? What's in the middle here that we're missing?
So I actually started out doing my own comic books in 2005. I was leveraging money I'd taken out for student loans. I was working on my master's in education at the time to pay for the print runs. And I went to San Diego Comic-Con in 2006, went to some regional shows, set up and try to sell my $3 black and white comic book. And you wouldn't break even. You'd lose money. I think I lost $3,000 going to San Diego. And it wasn't working. So I did the teaching thing for about a year and a half. My health got worse. So I decided, well, maybe I'll try comic book conventions again. And I kind of went into the fan art thing, kicking and screaming. So I did a few pieces and actually broke even. So that kind of was exciting. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this for a while and build up an audience that actually likes my art. And I got to the point where I was doing it full time as a career. Built a business doing it. Was doing not as well as some of my peers, but well enough to keep doing it and keep the bills paid, which I guess is as much as you could want. Then I started like really wanting to tell stories again, get back into comics, start doing comics again. And around that time, a little bit after that time is when, CG and everything started spooling up. And then of course we had COVID, lockdowns. And in 2017, I discovered this thing called Webtoon. So I decided to go back to one of my previous things I'd done, which was a webcomic called Chad the Fat Kid, and come up with some more from lore for that. One of the things I had him do was create his own comic book characters in a story, and that was the Dinosaur Man. And I loved that so much that I just wanted to do that. So I just moved everything aside and said, I'm just going to focus on building that up. Came into Comicsgate, CG, kind of on the sidelines, watching things happen. And then my buddy in Mess Bucket Comics and I was doing the pro wrestling stuff. And that got the attention of Pro Wrestling Tees. they contacted me about doing a comic book. And it was originally supposed to be something to do with the build-up before AEW became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the people involved, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all those guys, they couldn't agree on how much of this no money that they're going to all divide up between themselves. So the project fell through, but we still really wanted to do a book, and Kitty Toombs was really keen on it. Of course, her husband's Roddy Piper. And so we got the license deal to do a Roddy Piper superhero comic. And that's when Kilted Avenger came into it. Worked on that for 2 years. And I kind of disappeared off YouTube. Like I remember coming back, people didn't, there was new people on the scene, didn't know anything about who I was. So I kind of had to start over. But I had spent those 2 years
going told many times over.
Right. And then like and I'm really happy for COVID because I got to finish the book. I couldn't travel anymore, couldn't do anything. So I was like forced to finish the book. So this was my longest comic at the point, 52 pages. And that eventually led to the one we just finished up last year, the British Bulldog UK Defender. So that's out there now. That was a big hit. And then I got together with my buddy Pixel Trader and this wonderful artist, Piper's Adventure. And he did the spoof of Ariel, the Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm. Best character of that year, Sebastian.
Yeah, and then that went super viral. I'm in his DM saying, I'm drawing this comic for you. And she's in his DM saying, I've already got a story. So that kind of all fell together. Kismet, I guess, if you want to call it. And was working on that book and putting that out. And that artwork got out and was again viral. That got the attention of Jay, Drunk 3PO. And he had just broken off with his artist for Chronicles, with Chromatic Chronicles Blue.
Yeah.
Because he had done Blue, and that artist wanted to move on. So he was looking for another artist, and he saw my work on Merkmaid, and he thought I'd be really good for the pirate book, but he wanted to see what else I could do. And I sent him the proposal for a cover for Green, and the rest was history there. So once we got Chromatic Chronicles Green done, I'm in a chat with him in X-Wing, and here's the story for Daughter's Revenge. Start making some concept art for it, and off we went. Sailing.
What you said earlier is so true to anyone who's tried to kind of build an audience like you've been doing here and there. Yeah, if you disappear for any period of time, I know my friend Camel, he's just going to stop being on YouTube so he can finish his book, which is really what you should be doing. This whole thing is about working on comics and getting comics out there. Right. But at the same time, when you disappear, people it feels like it's on YouTube, 6 months is like years because new people come in, like you said, and they don't even know who you are. They don't even know your history there. They don't know anything about that. So unless you're constantly putting your face out there. And actually, Alex in the chat has said this to me in private. He said, it's a shame when people kind of drop off. I mean, they're not dropping off. They're just going to work, but that's just how it is in this in this scene that we have now that is so heavily focused on YouTube content and social media content and everything, that it really becomes a struggle. But it sounds like you've been working kind of nonstop, at least since the late 2010s.
Yeah, definitely.
And this, it's funny you say because when I was reading this, it's this is a long book. This is 140 freaking pages. This must have taken a decent amount of time to do.
I finished up Merkmaid in late January, early February, and immediately started drawing Daughter's Revenge. The previous November, December, the concept art and this cover was done. So that's that was my starting point. So from February 24, wait, no, 25. Yeah, February 25.
Yeah, they'll just blend together.
Yeah. Well, last year was the worst year of my life, and I drew this 140-page book. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
it's a little trouble. Yeah, I lost my dad in July.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
So, and then the months leading up to that were tough. But the bright part of my year was drawing these pages. And so I was up till midnight, waking up early, and also working my day job at my buddy's IT firm, who was the guy who's in the documentary on Amazon Prime called Selling Superman, which I'm in episodes 3 and 4. It's streaming free on Prime now. Yeah, I tried to get traction and tell people about this on the YouTube shows, and nobody wanted to hear about it. But
yeah. I'll check it out.
And a documentary on Amazon Prime. But so he hired me to do marketing and graphics and web design for his companies. So that became my day job. And I was spending all my other time working on comics, taking care of my parents. And yeah, it all becomes a blur, but I'm on the back end of it now. I have a 140-page graphic novel under my belt, beautifully colored by Big Boy Robo, who, if you guys aren't following him, follow at Big Boy Robo, because he is a phenomenal artist and a phenomenal colorist.
I have a question. Did you draw this in order, page 1 to page 140?
No, I jumped around a lot. I did the first 10, and then one of the things that I learned in this space that has helped me out the most was from Jose. Everybody loves Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about how he learned to know what he needed to do and then do what he could with the time that he had. So it's like, you may not have time to sit down and draw a whole page, but you have time to write. You have time to do one panel. You have time to ink, or you have time to color something. And really I really looked at my projects now in those terms, so that none of my time is actually wasted. Because before it'd be like, well, I can't get a page done today, so I can't do anything.
That is I've learned that as well. I didn't pick it. I didn't think about it exactly like that, but I always think it's really good to wear a lot of hats if you are, say, doing the flatting, the inking, the pencils, whatever it is. You do a lot of things because you're not always going to be in the right mind space. You're not always going to have the time. You're not always going to have the right amount of energy or focus. Yes. But yeah, if you have 20 minutes, sure, you can do some lettering. You can do some flatting or whatever, just a little bit, get this panel done or whatever it is. You're not going to be able to sit down and draw a whole page. But yeah, I totally am on board with that method, because I'm someone as well who works full time, have a family, other commitments, and trying to, work on comic books on the side. It is a constant juggling act.
Yeah. And I'll say this, doing that and actually accomplishing something makes it easier to keep accomplishing little somethings and get it done.
And that's how it happens. It's just, the way I think about it is, there's a mountaintop, and it's covered in, cloud coverage. I can't see the peak of the mountain. It's so far away, but I can see what's in front of me. I can see I've got a step here. I've got a step there. I can just make a few steps. As long as you're going up every day, you are getting closer, even though it might seem, impossibly far away. And I never even think about that mountaintop. I just know that's the direction to head.
Yeah.
Because if you think about how much work it is, that's like poison that gets into your brain. Whereas, because it's a monumental task. But what isn't a monumental task is finishing this panel, or doing the flats on this page, or whatever it is that day, that hour, that half an hour that you have, on your lunch break or whatever. It really is a mentality of productivity. And then a cool thing I noticed, and you must be the same now because you've got all these books under your belt now, is I look back and when I publish Fractured Mind, which is the one I'm finishing now, that'll be over 200 pages of Lucent stuff out there that I've worked on completely while working full time, pretty much.
Yep.
And it's taken a long time to get there, but it's there. And like we said earlier, that's the whole point of this thing, is to get books out, to have books, to look back on a catalog of stories.
We're building our legacies.
Yeah.
What we're doing, like these works will outlive us, hopefully.
Oh, it's some Gandalf wisdom here. All we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given to us.
Yep.
Exactly. What's up, Don? How you going? Bancroft's thought process was, if I don't have time to draw a perfect ginger root hand, I don't have time to draw any hands at all. Well, you know, practice makes perfect. The grind never ends. Exactly, Don. Exactly. But so this, you know, like you mentioned earlier, CG came about late 2010s. Crowdfunding just took off. It was the glory days, the glory time when people could just come in with a cover and get $50,000 worth of support. That was never going to last forever, but my goodness, was it wonderful at the time.
Yes, it was.
But out of that, Ripper comes along. He looks at, look at this crowdfunding thing has some really good things in it. He's like, no, well, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And, you know, fast forward, what is it, like 3 years? I think maybe he's been doing it now. Now we got Ripper Send, and this book is sitting on, what was it, 62,000?
Something like that, yeah.
1,300 copies sold.
Nice.
Which is incredible. And I want to chat a little bit about the book because I did read it. It is you know what I really like about this book too? And it's not that I don't like genre mixing. You know, like Western alien stuff, or I don't know, you could have pirate / sci-fi or something. This is a straight what kind of genre? It is a pirate book, but it's actually not all pirate. It's also about, you know, just sort of maritime adventure kind of stuff. It's set in that time period, but it's a straight story. We meet a man, a very capable warrior, and what happens to him. And I'm not going to give it away because it is a big part of the story. You can kind of guess from the title. He does find himself on a path of vengeance, and you know, it's got everything that you want in a story like this, where they're just traveling the seas, doing their thing, and you know, but he actually has his own agenda to it that really makes for a really compelling story and a really compelling character. And the way it's written, you do get the full story, but you're like, it's set up, oh, we can go on now, like there can be a lot more of this. Are you signed up for more books?
You know, it's planned as a trilogy. So that's kind of where our starting point is. And when I first read the script, I choked up. There were some moments where I choked up reading this.
Yeah, I had goosebumps. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, what the hell? I've got goosebumps reading this comic. Yeah, there's good moments in this.
Yeah, and you end up really resonating with the character, sympathizing with the character. One of the things I love about it is he's making decisions that I can't honestly say I wouldn't make, but I know they're probably wrong.
Yeah, there's a moment in there where, you know, it's sort of just after like with him, the worst moment of his life, where he is just kind of unhinged, and you're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, like everything he does is what you would pretty much expect someone to do in that situation. The difference is he is this renowned, extremely capable, extremely dangerous ex-army warrior, so he's not to be messed with. And you know, so the end results might be a little bit different for him from others, but yeah, no, there's moments where we saw it in the, well, it was on Reenie's cover, like he befriends this young kid as well, and he loses his leg at some points. He sort of becomes a sort of a surrogate son to him. And no, there's heart in this book, and you know, heart, adventure. I really enjoyed the kind of you know, the boat battle scenes and stuff like that.
Those were difficult because I'd grown up with pirate ships and sailing because my dad was really into that stuff. The back of the book, the standard edition, has a painting my father did in high school of a ship at sea, and it's hanging up on my bedroom wall. And I wanted, because of what I went through with him, I wanted to include him in some part in the story, which was very therapeutic for me personally. And so I'd grown up around those ships, but I'd never actually sit down and tried to draw them myself.
I can't imagine that'd be easy.
The rigging is nearly impossible.
Yeah, there's one shot that I was very impressed with where it's when he's on the British ship, when because he starts off as like a British mariner, you know, like he's part of the British Navy. And yeah, they're saying all the things, you know, I'm guessing, you know, everything's well researched and everything. I don't know what it all means, but you know, and then they unfurl all the sails, and it's just this massive, complicated thing.
This is the British Star Destroyer, basically.
Yeah. When this thing comes barreling down on you, forget it. And especially if you've got
the Victory it's 4 decks of ship. There's like 3 gun decks on it. It's just a massive cruiser.
It's crazy to think that these things this is real. Like this was a real thing that was out there on the seas, you know, and they had tactics of how to get up alongside or, you know, behind and outrun. And, you know, it was what a crazy time in history. I mean, I suppose now they have friggin' aircraft carriers, which is a whole nother level. But Headley here over on X says, I'm glad that non-superhero stories can get traction. Pirate adventures or Western have so much potential. They were this became a kind of a viral thing the other day on X, actually, where people were, you know, saying, why is manga, you know, beating American comics and everything? Jim Lee got into it as well. And they were talking about, well, you know, American comics, Western comics, it's all just superheroes. No, it isn't. The problem is that's what Marvel and DC are primarily focused on. That's their bread and butter.
Right.
But for me, the best stories out right now, if you look at Ghost Machine, you look at pretty much all my favorite independent, you know, small press stuff are not superheroes. It's stuff like this. It's I love the Westerns as well. Or it's like blended Western. My own story is kind of, I mean, what do you call a story it's more of a mystery where people have powers, you know, stuff like that. So, but this one specifically is a straight sea story, pirate story. And I love it for that. They didn't go with any gimmicks or anything. It's just character, situation, you know, grit and all that sort of stuff that you would want. Like, actually reminds me a little bit of older movies, you know, like you'd get those old films that would just be straight swashbuckling.
That was a lot of my research. I watched Master and Commander probably 6 times. I watched what are some of the Mutiny on the Bounty? Mutiny on the Bounty is amazing. And there's what's the one? Herschel here? No, I can't. See, the name of the captain is it's a funny name. This was like 1960s.
I might not know it.
Somebody in the chat will get it. But yeah, I was looking at all of these old swashbuckling movies for research purposes and diving into old paintings and really old drawings because nobody had a camera back then. So
they're so dramatic. Like it's those old naval paintings. They're freaking amazing because they're so dramatic and it's so romanticized. It looks amazing. The sky. Yeah, and the sun.
I found myself getting lost in like trying to figure out, okay, what was this really like, and having to stop myself. It's like, wait a minute, there isn't any actual schematics of this boat. Like the HMS Victory at the time in 17. This is the story starts out in 1714. The Victory at that time was a completely different ship. There's no actual paintings or etchings of it as the Victory that are in existence. That ship was sunk and scuttled, completely rebuilt and rebranded and bigger, and that's the Victory that we know and see today. So the Victory that I based it on is more of a current version, or is the size and scope, because there's no way of knowing what the original looked like in early 1700s. So a lot of the history has just been so overly romanticized. Since we're historical fiction, there's some leeway that some creative leeway that you can take there and still kind of be more grounded.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is there's a scene in the book that takes place in England and going back and looking at old etchings of old London Bridge.
Yeah, it was crazy, that thing.
Fantastic scenario setting for something to happen. I just had to use it. And I don't know why we haven't seen that in films, because this, like a bridge with all of these houses, homes, it was a city on the bridge. And the mortars that it was sitting on were basically floating on the water in some.
Was it not in one of the Sherlock Holmes movies? I don't know if it was still around.
Like the Robert Downey Jr. ones, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. But I've seen images of this thing, and it's pretty crazy. And you're so right. I saw a meme. It was like what it used to be and what it is now. And it's just to distill the situation we find ourselves in, where anything cool and interesting, not anything, but a lot of things cool and interesting historically just get
bulldozed
and then replaced with
Starbucks.
Brutalists, friggin' awful things. But I was saying, actually, there's a bridge in Florence that isn't quite as grand as the London Bridge was, but it's still pretty cool. And it's just completely covered in buildings as well. And if you walk through it, it's like this kind of little maze thing. It's actually pretty. It's a cool little trip. I mean, all of Florence is like a trip down historical lane. But
that's cool.
Was it Horatio Hornblower?
Yes. Yes. Horatio
Hornblower. There you go. And then Alex admonishes him for that filthy language. Alex says most of the mainstream comics, Western comics and the guys involved in that world don't understand the mangas at all, to their detriment. Yeah, it is a shame because, when I think about it, actually, this genre is very much akin to the Western. It's a very male kind of focused genre. It's about freedom. It's about the frontier. It's about going for glory. There's a lot of revenge stories. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. So it's very similar to the Western. And actually, a corollary to that is the sort of sword and sorcery barbarian genre, which is actually becoming my new favorite genre ever since I started reading Russ Leach and Randy Zimmerman's Atlantean books, which I'm just completely enamored with. And I'd never read that stuff before, but it's I guess it's just kind of like the mainstream sort of abandoned, very masculine stories focused on men. And you say, well, hang on, there's still superhero stories. Yeah, but if you've read superhero stories lately, they're kind of bland because they're trying to appeal to both men and women.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just sucked the fun out of it. Whereas this, like when you sent me this, it's like 140 pages. Damn, all right, here we go. But I was in it, and I just zipped right through it. I was like, I'm in the story, and I was like, yeah, I'm having a great time with this from pretty much from the very beginning. So, you know, I had the same feeling with the Atlantean. So yeah, I guess, you know, we want stories like this, us men.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think I think it's high time that the strong male lead really just take back fiction.
You know, if I think about it now, this story is very similar to Gladiator, where he is he's a military man. Things happen to his family that sets him on a course where he is now on the other side fighting and out for revenge. I mean, obviously the details are pretty different, but you know, it's a historical thing. It's about a great warrior with I think a good moral core, and he cares for the people around him. But he's been put into this situation, so this is what he has to do now. And Gladiator is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. So yeah, it seems to be like there's a lot of common themes that keep popping up in these stories that sort of appeal to us. Lowest common denominator chasing rarely works out, says Alex Ebert. Yeah. Gladiator is awesome. Alex VRB backed it. It's up to 65,000 now. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome stuff. Tell me a little bit. I know I'm following. Where are we here? Zoom out here. I'm following Russ. I know Jay. I've spoken with Jay. Tell us a little bit about Russ. I know I'm following him on Twitter, but I don't know if I know his backstory.
Okay, so this is Russ's first book.
Oh, there you go. That'd be one.
This is his first story, and Russ is an interesting character. He's definitely a man's man. He's got a really smashing mustache.
Always helps.
He's a blacksmith, and
No
he forged 6 cutlasses that sold out in 5 minutes. We had them as the ultimate package. You could get a cutlass, hand-forged cutlass, with all the books and the T-shirt and the hat. And he probably went through 15 to 20 blades just to get 6 he was happy with.
Yeah.
This was incredible, an incredible effort. So not only did he write, he did a lot of the writing. Like him and Jay really collaborated on the story. Down to earth writing was definitely Russ. This was his first book. And then he's off forging swords.
Well, why not?
It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Well, if you have a mustache, if you have a smashing mustache and you're not forging swords or crafting your own beer, or,
right?
I don't know, working with leather, you know, what are you really doing with your life? I mean, that's why you have the mustache. And maybe it's a thing about mustaches and good stories. Because Tony James, who I've had on a bunch of times, he's written a cracking story about a 1950s detective who gets embroiled in an alien conspiracy. It's like a Roswell kind of thing. Great story called Star Noir as well. You should definitely check it out. One of my favorite indies. He also has a big, beautiful mustache as well. So maybe it's a thing. My dad is a pilot, and he was a pilot in the 80s. He's actually still a pilot now. He's just celebrated, I think, 50 years of being a pilot.
Wow.
And he has that 80s pilot mustache that they
Nice.
all had, and he still has to this day. It's like the pilot mustache. It's like a big, thick. It's not like with the 12s. Not like a new hipster mustache. Yeah, either that or become a pilot. Exactly. Yeah, the old timey one. Yeah, you gotta like twist it and stuff. With great mustache comes great responsibility.
Nice.
You can't have a mustache and be a motorboater, Eweezy. It's too scratchy. I think that's how it goes. I should have known Bancroft would try to work leather into his monologue tonight. No, I mean like making aprons or like belts. I don't know. Or hats. You can make cool hats. But that's exciting to hear this is going to be a trilogy because essentially what you get with this book is you get the story, but it does allow to continue on where the guy has kind of a clue that he can follow a lead, we could say, that he can now follow. And it ends on a really cool kind of high note where it's just like, it just says, adventure is coming. So I really do think it's going to be a great series, and I look forward to seeing the next one. And I'm really happy that this has worked out because it's great to see good stories getting good traction. It's always discouraging, because we know how hard it is out there. We were talking about it earlier. Sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall, and you got a really good story, you got a really good art, but you just don't have the ability to get it out there. So shout out to Jay and Erik for providing that, using their platforms to help get new good stories out.
Yeah, and Erik has to dress as a pirate at MegaCon. So
does he?
Yeah, because we reached a goal really quick. I think it was like 1,500 in one day or something like that.
Did he agree to that goal beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's not just getting strong armed.
He said he should have set the goal higher. He didn't realize it would.
Well, I'm not sending him my puffy pirate shirt. That stays with me. But he can pull something out. He can.
It's gonna be fun at MegaCon because we're all gonna be dressed up for it.
Great black beard. That's awesome, says Easy Weezy. This is the way. I like these book chats rather than the hard shilling style. Citizen, dude. I was like, there was a point where I was like, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. Like, that's why if it's possible, I asked, send the book so we can actually talk about as much as we can without spoiling it.
Yeah.
What the actual story is like, what it's about, and that sort of thing. Because otherwise it's like, oh yeah, go back it. It's got a cool cover and the art is nice and you can get a whatever. It's not, I don't enjoy doing it. I don't think you would enjoy doing that. In fact, I think creators kind of dread that.
Yeah, because like
having to pitch and
I don't know if you really dealt with this, but one of the hardest hurdles, especially when I was doing Comic Cons, was selling my own stuff, because it's like I have this imposter syndrome where people are enamored. I'm like, okay, you want to give me?
Yeah, I never know what to say. If someone really likes my stuff, I never really know. I just say thank you, because like I always think, but there's so many better people out there. Why are you here?
Or you're just looking at the things you did, like, I wish I'd have done that differently.
Yeah, that's always the
Look
thing.
at that mistake. That looks like a mistake. I can't stand that.
I look back at my original stuff now, and now I get, like, I've heard, guys who've been in the industry for decades say they can't even look at their old stuff anymore. They just that. I'm not there yet, but I'm still kind of grounded in the fact that, I know I came into this as a beginner. I'm learning on the job. So it's going to be how it's going to be. But eventually you do get to a point where you think, oh yeah, what was I thinking there? But what's been great for me is having an editor, and I've got a fantastic editor, Joe Fulton, and he does not mince words at all. And I love him for that. He just says, this is busted. this is so wrong. This looks so ugly. No. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you need. You need someone to tell you that stuff, because you need to kind of pay someone to tell you that stuff, because your friends aren't necessarily going to do it. And if it's people who don't like you, then they might just have another agenda. So
that's one of the great things. Like, this is the second time that I've been through the process with Ripasend, and they really take the editorial process seriously with these books. And I got a rather long email with, and it wasn't just for the lettering and stuff, because I'm terrible at grammar, terrible. I'm not a very good typist, if you could imagine, with these crazy hands. But inconsistencies or things that you miss because you've looked at it for hours and hours and hours and hours, that is, you're face blind to it, and a fresh pair of eyes will see it and hey, this doesn't make sense. One of the biggest ones was, there's basically kind of like a subchapter in the book where you're getting a place and a date, and originally we didn't have enough places and dates, and the timeline didn't make sense. Well, none of us caught that, but one of the people that we had look at it early on, they're a history buff, and they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Where's this on the timeline? We're like, ooh, okay. So you go back and you work these things out. So yeah, the worst advice anybody could ever tell you is not have an editor.
100%. Actually, I'm claiming that credit. I am the official poker consultant on Phil Diaz's the Diaz brothers, Zaid brothers, Zaid Comics, Man with No Strings comic, because they have a new character who is a poker player.
Wow.
And with my intimate knowledge of poker and poker history, I pointed out to them they wouldn't be playing Texas Hold'em at that time period, because Texas Hold'em wasn't invented until I think way later, maybe even 1930 or 40 or something. I don't know when it was invented. It wasn't back in the Old West, that's for sure. So I'm expecting my cover credit, maybe first name up there.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's true. It is true. People like that with guns, people like that with cars, people like that with historical dates and stuff like that. And it's good. It's great. Because it will, for people who know, it will stick out like a sore thumb. Citizen Ronan says, if your old stuff is crap and you realize it, that just means you're progressing. Agreed. Valley Law says, I'll get right on that, Casey. What was that about? Right after sending him a cowboy and fireman cut, setting me. Right. I do have a pirate hat. I do have a full pirate outfit. I have a Pharaoh outfit. There used to be a time when Don Chin, Don Chin?
Yeah, I love Don.
Yeah. Don used to send me costumes. He sent me like 10 costumes over about 5 years. He would just send me costumes to wear, and I would wear them sporadically. Look, there's one here. I don't know why it's out. This is part of an old Pharaoh thing.
Nice.
Oh, man. So I do have, we've seen the puffy shirt. Don was the one who sent me the puffy shirt. It was so funny. That was the first thing that ever got sent to me. And he didn't put his name on it.
That's
I just
beautiful.
had a parcel, and it was like enjoy or something. And I was like, so I put it on. I took a photo. I said, who sent me this puffy pirate shirt? And eventually we learned it was Don.
He's such a wonderful human being. I remember early on when I was working with the Phantasm collection, again, going back to that whole documentary that I'm on Amazon Prime called Selling Superman. I found a mint copy of Radioactive Hamsters.
Oh, nice.
I took a picture of it and I sent it to Don. I was like, hey, you remember this?
Blasting the butt. Talk about a man who's seen it all in Indie comics.
Yeah.
Him and Billy Tucci.
Oh gosh, yes.
They've seen everything. They've been there for everything. It'd be crazy to good to like bend their ear and see how. I mean, the changes must have been incredible over the years. But Billy's been riding that wave, still going. Great to see. Our hour is unfortunately up. It looks like you did get a few backers.
Appreciate
during the
that.
stream, which is wonderful to see. Again, I'm very, very happy to recommend Daughter's Revenge. Wonderful story. I think this has the bones, the legs to become a really, really cool comic series. Great character, great world. I mean, the world is so much fun. It doesn't seem real. It's crazy to think that it was actually real.
Yeah.
This was the world at one point in time. So yeah, if you are sort of on the fence, if it means anything, I've read it. I really enjoyed it. Fun story. And I think Casey asked if it was hard. I don't think it's hardcover. I think they're soft covers.
Yeah, there's all soft covers.
Yeah, but it is 140 pages, so it's probably like it's a thick boy.
Yeah,
it's a big one. So you'll get a lot of bang for your buck there. Where can people follow you, Eric?
Please follow me at Dreaded Dinosaur on X and on YouTube channels of Dreaded Dinosaur as well, and Instagram, and that's my branding for everything. So appreciate that, and thank you so much for having me. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Pleasure to catch up with you.
Yep,
Lucent's looking great. I can't wait to read it. Can't wait to get it in my hands.
Dude, I'm doing some art finishes at the moment, just cleaning some little things up. That should be done this weekend. The lettering is done, but I've got to, you know how it is. I know, especially with me. I like once the lettering is done, that's when I really start fine tuning the dialogue. That like I'm really drilling in there. There's a little bit of just some tiny places where we need to work on some colors, and then it's done and it's going to print. And I'm so happy. But yeah, I can't wait for everyone to read it and see it, and I hope they all enjoy it. Citizen says Eric is a good dude and a talented guy. Indeed. All right, everyone, that is going to be it for us. I'm going to check out, see if anyone else is live. Might be able to hook up a raid. It's going to show me them. Let's have a look over here. Where are we looking? Oh, we've got a whole selection here. Oh, they got the F. Let's see if FFS finally unlocked. I think they did. They finally unlocked raids. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, there you go. All right, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week. I think we're just going to do the Aliens versus Predator art share this week because the Lord of the Rings art share was really quite popular. People really liked it. So maybe this will be a new thing. We'll see how we go. Other than that, have a great one, and I will all see you soon. Bye.
See ya.
Perth made an Australian video, and I wasn't even in it.
Emotional damage.